Hello. So today we'll talk about, I think it may be one of your first video recording to understand the projects and support, uh, the background, and how ABAS IT will support the clients in the long run. So a lot of things will be discussed in this presentation that you may not comprehend at this time, but it's just for your information, and you just keep it in your mind. And as you grow your career path with ABAS IT, then you will see that these things will come into picture. So the topics that we'll talk today, they are IT projects, background and initiation, the org structures, projects. Then we'll dive a bit into the project definitions or the type. They can be two type: strategic and tactical, and I'll talk about that as well. Then we'll go to support, and within the support, there is what we call like ITIL process groups, and ITIL stands for IT Infrastructure Library, and it's a kind of framework provided by British government and been accepted all across the world. Then within that we have different levels, and we also talk about the change process. Now let me make this slide a slideshow. So from because ABAS IT will be supporting the clients and will be doing the IT services. So and the IT does not exist in vacuum. It has to have some inputs, and how the whole thing gets initiated, then how it is implemented and how it is supported. So the business process that is actually initiates the IT. One thing to understand, that there is a difference between IT, I'm sorry, the business applications and the desktop applications, for example office applications. So they're two different sets, and for ABAS we will do the business applications. So as a company, industry, it can be let me change the color of my pen. So as the industries, right, we have different industry type. We have manufacturing, we have apparel or garments, then we have pharmaceuticals. So there are different type of industries which needs which exist on the business process, which are sales, purchasing, accounting, production, and so forth. And those business process that they do on a day-to-day basis, that has to be accounted or documented, and that documentation process happens through IT applications. And as ABAS IT, we will provide the business organizations with software development, ERP and SAP implementation and support. We will also provide B2B integration and trading partner enablement, which is a subset of B2B integration. That's also will provide. So the background is the business process, the business integration in different industries that we will support through software development, ERP implementation, business integration, and trading partner enablement. Next slide. And the IT projects, because now we know that there is a business function that has to be supported, and that is triggered through the IT projects, right? And the corporation companies referred as business later in the document deliver product or service to customers. There is some issue with my okay, let me close this. Okay. So to run the business efficiently, they need software tools to run the day-to-day business, and business uses IT as a service slash tools. So IT is not a product by itself for a company that's delivering production services to customers, but it's a tool they use. And on the other side, ABAS IT, we provide that service or develop the tools for those corporations. So these tools services are enabled as separate initiative because that has to be designed, implemented, and they usually address certain requirements of that entity. Every initiatives are categorized as strategic or tactical. So every initiative that a company takes from an IT perspective, when it's strategic, that means it's mid the long-term vision. When it's tactical, it means that they're doing it for a given time frame, for certain month, or 2 months, or a quarter, and so forth. And upon corporate or management budget approval, these projects, which are the initiative, they are initiated, and this project's initiative they has a certain goals and timeline because they want to get this thing done in a certain time. They have a money allocated for it, and they want someone to go ahead and do those work for them. And in a given in an enterprise or in a given IT landscape, and these projects that has been initiated, it has two different components: the enterprise function and the IT functions, right? Because the enterprise functions will tell us, what are the functions that need to be implemented, and IT function is how that function can be mapped to a given tool or to a developed tool. And you can see for the enterprise functions that we have the business owners, and it will have different areas of business like finance, and then you have logistics. When I talk about the logistics, it actually means the sales, purchasing, then production, customer relationship management, and so forth. From the IT side, right, we also have the similar business analyst, right, who match that business owners. So finance, logistics, you can have production. Within logistics, you have sales, as I said. Then we have the developers pool who does the programming, right? They also take care of the database. And the last one is infrastructure because that's what holds the application uh, as well as operating systems, database, and so forth. So it includes operating system, network, web. So they give us the platform where developers can do coding according to the requirement from the business owners and as stated by the business analyst who wants to see that applications run in a certain fashion. So we can see that. So here there are different teams that coming into picture. We have the business folks, right? We have the business and IT, which are the business analyst. We have the IT developers, and we have the IT infrastructure. Next, we're going to come and we'll talk about the organizational structures, that how a company is laid out, because to understand that where that IT comes into picture, where ABAS will come into picture, this is what we need to understand. So from the org structure perspective, let's talk about an enterprise or a company, right? And it does a certain business, right? Because it has its own customer base, right? And it has logistics, and it also has finance. Then within the logistics, as I said, it has sales and marketing, purchasing, production, shipping, right? Let me close it. And from the finance, you have accounting, controlling, then strategy. And on the IT side, because this on the IT side, because this is the real business functions on the left side that happens, and on the right side is the tools that are provided by information technology department, that you may call it. And in this information technology, you have ITPMO, which is the IT Program Management Office. You will also have application support, and you also have infrastructure. So there are three different teams that is under information technology. From the IT PMO perspective, you have the project managers, right, who manage the projects, and you have the project team. And within the project team, as we looked before, you have the business analyst, you have the programmers, you have the infrastructure folks. And note that these infrastructure folks are different from these infrastructure folks because they support the existing systems and network. In some cases, they will be the same. From the application support perspective, which is because when we do a project, means we develop a software, then we migrate them to production. The people start using that software, and we're going to have a team to support that application to make sure that it does not fail, or if users has any problem, they can go and support that. So within that application support structure, you have the delivery manager who makes sure that application is functioning as it should. And underneath, he has different levels of resources. We call it level 1, level 2, and level 3. And these levels, they depend on different skill sets of people who are going to who are going to support that, and they are based on that ITIL framework as dictated by the ITL, the United Kingdom Governance Office. So we know the org structures, right? And I'll not go through delivery models because that is not relevant. But I'll go to the projects, strategic and tactical. So, what defines a project? If you recall, we just talked that a project is initiated for a given business requirement. For example, the business wants to implement a sales order processing system, right? So that's a requirement, and for that they already allocated, let's say, some amount of money to have it developed, right? So once they wanted to develop, right, and and then they say, well, from this start date and this is the end date, I need this application to be delivered. And one of the key notation of a project that it's slowly, elaborated, right? So it has different phases. So as it goes down through the phases, things get, more realistic. Okay, let me escape.